Okay, we are joined by Seattle University head women's basketball coach Suzy Barcomb. Coach, can you start us off with your general thoughts on the upcoming season?
I think it's difficult to formulate really what your season is going to be like just based on the last few practices. We have 3 seniors that are going to be really key to our program, and not only leadership, but what they're able to do on the floor and in the locker room. I think that that's vital. We're super young, and we have a sophomore class in which only one player really had significant minutes, and that's returning freshman of the year, Cierra Sanders. So other than that, we're incredibly young. So I think I sat here last year in front of you all and said we'll be as good as the seniors buy into the program. I think what we're going to see this year is we'll be as good as our freshmen and sophomores can contribute to the program and get ready and have some significant minutes on the floor, because you can't just rely on 3 seniors to carry you for the entire season.
Alexis Montgomery has been selected as preseason player of the year by both the coaches and the media. What do you expect to see from Alexis in her senior season?
I think she has a lot of untapped potential. I think Alexis really worked hard on her entire game last year. Her conditioning, her overall strength, her quickness. Alexis was a point guard in high school, so she sees the floor incredibly well. She has the ability to score. She has the ability to go off the bounce. She has the ability to go grab a rebound and go coast to coast. We're going to ask a lot of Alexis this year in terms of leadership. We want her to become a vocal leader. I think with the seniors last year, Alexis played second fiddle in terms of leadership, and I think that's something we've really asked her to step onto the floor and lead, not only by example but with her words. She's a calm leader. She's a quiet leader. So I think that she'll really grow in that arena as well.
What did you learn from your first year in the WAC?
First year in the WAC. Well, I've already grown because I actually took the right shuttle to get here this year. So last year I took the wrong shuttle and was at the wrong Marriott. So I feel like I've already improved. First year at the WAC, it was wow. It was wow. A lot of different states, a lot of different planes. Planes, trains, and automobiles is what I felt like. But I also know that it's high-quality basketball, and I think the WAC gets overlooked. You look at what New Mexico State did last year in first round against Stanford. I think that was a great game, and I think it kind of let people know what the WAC is capable of. We have a lot of new faces this year, but it's difficult to win on the road in the WAC. I think when you do that, then you're going to become a champion, and I think that's what we have to learn how to do.
You mentioned last year's WAC Freshman of the Year at Cierra Sanders. How has she grown over the last year, and what do you expect from her this year?
Well, we're really hoping that she gets a little bit more consistent. I think with any freshman, you're kind of riding a roller coaster. We would like to get off that roller coaster with her and just have her be kind of a steady performer, game in, game out. I think she's understanding the game defensively a little bit better than she did last year, and I think that keeps her on the floor a little bit more and understanding the scouts. She's working on her outside game. She's cat quick. She can get to the rim, but it's getting to the rim and finishing with contact as well. But if she can really expand her outside shooting, that's really going to open it up for her to be able to get to the rim. 1 and 2 dribble pulls is going to be her next best friend, I think, this year. So hopefully that will help her out.
This question comes from @VCG Sports on Instagram. Outside of basketball, what values do you try to instill in your players? Do those values change when you bring in a new recruiting class depending on the personality of the players?
Well, I think one of my #1 jobs is to, granted it's to win basketball games, but it's really actually to raise really great leaders and impact these women on that level. And I want them to be able to go out into the world and share that type of leadership and grow new leaders. I don't think you're a leader unless you've developed a leader who's developed a leader. So that's what my value has always been. We want to be leaders in the classroom. We want to be leaders in the community. We want to be leaders on campus and on the court. It shouldn't change because culture is culture, championship is championship culture, and that's what we want to have regardless of who we're recruiting. If you're recruiting someone that doesn't share those values, then you're probably recruiting the wrong recruiting class.
Can you please tell us a little bit about your coaching staff this season?
My coaching staff? It's the same staff, which is great. Didn't have to get to used to anybody new. So Jody Gleason is my associate head coach. She's in charge of the Princeton offense. She does a fabulous job of implementing that offense. Skip Gleason is our recruitment coordinator. Fabulous job with recruitment. He's also our defensive specialist. Tony Thomas is my other assistant, and Tony is our international recruiting person. She works primarily with post players and developing our post play, which will be key. No pressure, Tony, but we have to have some post players who can score this year. But I also talk about my coaching staff and that we have strength and conditioning, Jennifer Peterson, and we also have athletic training staff, Tiffany, and many others who help. If we also can't, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about our academic advisors as well. That's, in my opinion, is our entire coaching staff, and that's what we're here to do, is we're trying to educate the kids on the whole and take care of the kids on the whole.
Being as it's your second year at the helm, how tough is it to recruit up there to Seattle University with Washington, Washington State, Gonzaga?
Yeah.
I mean, is it difficult for you to recruit up there, and how important is that going to be going forward? You talked about an international recruiter.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to be a key for you going forward to get the program to where you want it to be, or is it just part of the process to get the right players into your program?
Well, you know, I think I spoke all of last year about the process, and I don't think it's difficult to recruit to Seattle. It's a stunning city. I think it naturally is attractive to international student athletes because we're so much like an international city. You know, I think that's easy. It's easy to come in and out of our city on flying. I personally don't think that we're really going against UW in that regard. I graduated from the University of Washington, so I still have a little purple in my heart, but right now I'm red and black. But I think it's really important to understand what we're recruiting student athletes to be successful at Seattle University. And UW or Cal or whoever else we're going against are doing the exact same thing. We may like the same student athletes. We may feel as though those student athletes are what is important to our program. I want to be still locally grown, locally owned. I love recruiting the local student athletes. It would allow us to attract the neighborhood community. You know, we don't have football. We don't have those dynamics that the UW does, but we have our own personal success stories by going after the local student athletes, and I want the neighborhood to get behind us. We're right in the city center. I just feel like we should be the heartbeat of Seattle, and we're just up the road from Seattle. I just feel like there should be that natural connection for that. But year two is always more difficult than year one in the process. You have to overcome a little bit more. Year one, everybody's really excited. You know, new change. Okay, this will be fun. Let's move forward. Year two, you see if you made mistakes in your recruiting philosophy or those dynamics. But I think year 2s and 3 is always difficult, and then you should be on the right trajectory all the way up, I think.
You were able to take your team on an international trip this summer in August to Amsterdam and Paris. How was that trip, and what did you learn about your team on the journey?
Well, I think it will prove to be invaluable. I couldn't tell you what lessons right now we learned in terms of being on the court, But I think what I can tell you is that because we were so young and we had so many new faces, it was imperative that we did that. We had to get this group traveling together to get to know each other on and off the floor, understanding our differences, recognizing how similar we are, but also just exploring some amazing cities and sights and sounds. I think academic-wise, we associated a class with the foreign tour, so that was enlightening for the kids as well. Amsterdam is beautiful. We traveled, we had amazing tours, and then Paris is beautiful as well. So we got 3 games in. Did we win all the games? No, we didn't. Did we compete at times? Yeah, absolutely we competed. So I think it really exposed our flaws really, really well, and then it gave the coaching staff some things that we knew we could build upon for this upcoming season. And I also really truthfully think it opened the eyes for the freshmen and sophomores of how they had to change their game and improve in this fall right now so that we could be successful.
Okay, this question comes from @JakeGalley on Instagram. What's the biggest thing you've learned after the last year, both about your team and about yourself?
I think for me, I learned that I'm not too old for this. I think there was question marks where people were like, oh, 3-2, you've gone Division III, you're down Division II, and now you're trying to rebuild a Division I program. I think I learned I still had the passion for this game. I love coaching. I love impacting young women. I love building leaders. What was the second part of that, Chris?
What did you learn about your team over the last year?
It's an all-new team, so that's really difficult for me to say. I think I'll learn more as the season moves on in this year. I do know I have 3 really amazing seniors who are doing anything and everything we ask as the coaching staff to lead this team. I think Lex, Jay, and Ash are tremendous young women, and I think they're going to do everything in their power to help us be successful this year.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.